Well, hello, and thank you for joining us for our November Lunch and Learn. I'm Jenna Klinner, and I'm joined here today by Matt Goins, who is just on cam there, as well as other members of the WiscWeb team. Today, we're going to split things up. I'll be taking the first portion of the session, and then I'll be handing things over to Matt for the latter half. You can go to the next slide
Sorry.
there. You're good. So here's our agenda for this session. First, we'll run through a few updates and reminders for you all. Then we'll give you a little bit of a Gutenberg update. And finally, Matt will share some information related to the accessibility policy change. All right, so we have a couple of little updates and reminders for you today. The first is that we have updated the UW theme. That was yesterday. You should have received an email about that. This update included a change to the text editor from a serif font to a sans serif. It's now in Red Hat. So as you're editing your pages, you may notice a slight difference, things like the text block and other areas where the text editor is present. That update just helps improve the readability of that section for you all. So nice little accessibility improvement. And we also updated our version of ACF Pro to the latest version. And we had a little minor update to the styles of the utility menu that aren't super noticeable. It's just a really simple line height change on that. The second item here is a reminder. We have removed the ability to upload video file types to the media library. As mentioned, when we communicated about this change, this will not impact existing files. So if you had uploaded, let's say, an MP4 video at one time, it's not removing that. It's just restricting your ability to upload anything new. And in the future, we just ask that you upload those to a video hosting service like YouTube, Vimeo, or Kaltura.
Yeah, and I just want
Uh,
to clarify. I want to clarify that too, just a little bit, because I got
yeah.
emails. I received plenty of emails from people who were a little bit confused by the messaging, and there wasn't a real good way to word what was happening. But you're still able to embed anything
Yes.
from
Good point.
YouTube, Kaltura, Vimeo. This doesn't affect any other services on campus. You can still upload videos to other locations like Box, or I'm not sure where else, what other places you might upload videos to. This only is in relation to the WordPress, the WiscWeb WordPress media library. If you host externally, if you host through Do It Web Hosting, those restrictions don't exist for you there either. We don't want those types of things running through the WiscWeb aspect of the service.
Yeah, those are very large files and they're better supported in true video hosting services like the ones we mentioned. Thank you, Matt. Oh, go on back. Sorry. The next item is that we have some upcoming updates. We'll soon be upgrading all of our environments to PHP 8.2, and we'll also be updating our sites to the latest version of WordPress. WordPress 6.7 was just released. We're doing testing on that. PHP updates have not yet been scheduled for production, but we are hoping to upgrade our WordPress version to 6.7 on December 11th. So that will be coming at, in December. And finally, just a heads up that the WiscWeb team will have extremely low support coverage on the Friday after Thanksgiving. Obviously, we won't be here Thanksgiving Day, that Thursday, but that Friday is also low coverage, just a lot of folks being out. So please expect delays with email responses. That's also just a good heads up on holiday coverage in general. That is a time where coverage is lighter, so we will respond as we're able, but um, typically we kind of prioritize emergency or urgent issues over just everyday questions at that time.
I'm gonna just to respond. Christine asked if audio files are still okay. Yes, you can still upload like MP3s. I would say go MP3s because those are the smaller file sizes than like your traditional waves, or I think there are other file types. So your MP3s would still be okay. In those instances, I would still wonder if like uploading those types of things to like SoundCloud or something like that, and then streaming it through that might be better just from an experience standpoint, user experience standpoint, just with the it's just a better player in general than the embedded one, but yes, audio files are still okay because those file sizes are typically much smaller than a video file.
Awesome. And then next slide, we are kind of just starting our Gutenberg discussion then. So I wanted to give you a little update and then I'll hand things off to Matt to talk about some informational sessions that he'll be providing for you. Um, so I recently did a little presentation for Do It staff on Gutenberg, and it's a really good just general overview of the project. So that is available on the it.wisc site for you if you'd like to check it out. It's also, as I noted in the slide here, something that you could share with others. So if you have other team members or other folks in your school's college division who maybe need to be aware, maybe don't want to read a bunch of text, this might be a nice format. It's about 20 minutes. I'll post the link there in the chat. It is posted on the it.wisc site right now under, I think, like news articles there. This session talks about things like timeline, what you'll experience in WiscWeb, the child theme experience in case you do have a child theme in WiscWeb, or maybe you're hosting a child theme site outside of WiscWeb, like in web hosting, and where to go for more info. So we do get questions about this periodically, just folks looking for like what is happening. We're trying to give those updates periodically for you all, but this is a nice way to just view it all at once. Also, a reminder that the UW theme website also has some great general information that is also shareable, and I'll post that in the chat as well for those who might not be aware. And with that, I think, Matt, you can talk about informational sessions.
Okay. So I sent out an email a couple of weeks ago. I've sent out a lot of emails, so I apologize for not knowing the timeline of all this. Mentioning that we were going to be providing some informational sessions coming up in relation to our move to Gutenberg and just getting you all ready for what Gutenberg is going to look like, what the block editor is going to look like. And so the first of those sessions is tomorrow from 11 to 12. The Zoom information is here on the screen. Um, Essentially, these sessions aren't going to cover what our UW theme is going to look like. We may have a few spots where we could show some screenshots or maybe demo some of that content. That's a conversation that we have back and forth regularly. But in general, I'm just going to be showing you a bland, basic look at what the block editor looks like within a WordPress environment. It'll be similar to what you'll experience when we move to the new version of the UW theme. I'm looking at the wrong camera. And so I don't want people to go into these sessions thinking that they are going to be learning about what the theme is going to look like. We may go over some things about what we're considering with the theme, but again, I'm not going to be showing you any of our newer newer elements for the theme itself. So two first sessions are just introducing the block editor, getting to know what the environment looks like, getting to know what the block selector area actually looks like, and how do you publish and preview and all of those things. It's just a very basic quick 1 hour hit of this is what it looks like, and this is what you're going to be tinkering with when you start working on it. The other two sessions, the other session I should say, is more of me walking through how I could use the blocks to build out just a very basic page using I guess we'll say the simplest of the blocks within the block editor. There is an opportunity when we get beyond that next session to do some more advanced conversations regarding the block editor. But we wanted to just get these two sessions out to you all, mainly to expose you to what the block editor is and how it's going to be used, and to really hopefully encourage all of you to start to think about what your site could look like when we do make this transition, because we're still we're still weighing how we're going to do the migration, how that process is going to look. But me, I'm always a big fan of burn it down and build it back up. And so that opportunity always exists as well, in the fact that, like, wow, I've got this new tool, this new way of building things. Let's see what I can do. And let's see what I can do differently, and let's see what I can do potentially better than what I had before. So yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of that, but we're still in the process of deciding how our process is going to be when we get to that point. So that's what the informational sessions are for. They're really just introductions and to get you all thinking and to get you all a little bit more exposed to what the block editors are, and to encourage you all to start tinkering around outside of WiscWeb as well. So, any questions on that? They will be recorded. I will be making them available after they are recorded, but I'm not going to put them up on our YouTube page. I'm going to put them in Kaltura instead and just send out the link to the Kaltura. Um, Mainly just because these are relevant to us, and I don't want the stuff that I'm presenting to be mistaken for, like, here's how you use Gutenberg and things like that, to get picked up by a certain algorithm. So that's all righty. Moving on. Oh wait, are you imagining this transition to be as big a change as the request from Red Dot?
I would say
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say
There
yeah. I
are,
mean, it's an
each
entirely
had its
different editor.
complications. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. I think it is an entirely different editor, but the familiarity of WordPress in and of itself, I think, will lend itself better to this transition than Red Dot to
True.
um,
Yes.
WordPress. Mainly because you all have been living in WordPress for the vast majority of you, I should say. We have a lot of newer editors, but our folks who have come over from Red Dot, you've been living in this for the past 7 years. So that WordPress familiarity is there. The concepts, the ideas of how you publish a page, you preview a page, here's how pages work, all that stuff, that's not changing. It's just how you build the page is changing. So I, I actually think it's going to be easier than the Red Dot to WordPress transition because of the nature of WordPress. But I
Mm.
know that there's going to be some concern and um, some trepidation about doing it, and confusion, because again, it's
Yeah.
a new
It's
editor
new.
window.
It's
So
entirely new. I will say too, we didn't have migration tooling when folks moved from Red Dot to WordPress, and we do intend to have a plugin available for helping to migrate content. So that will help. But I do think it's helpful to just know, like, yep, it's an entirely different editor. It looks very
yep, and you'll
different, so
see,
expect it to be different when
yeah,
you're building.
and you'll see that in the informational sessions. Go ahead, Christine.
I just was hoping you could quickly remind me what the implementation timeline is for Gutenberg.
Yeah, I could talk about that.
Yep, go ahead.
And so that video that I linked above, and the website that I linked for UW theme has the best information that we can share at this point. Basically, uh, the rough plan is for us to continue building. So we're in the build stage of this project. In February, we're hoping to user testing on the progress of the theme to just get feedback. You'll be certainly communicated with about that opportunity as WiscWeb users. We'll continue building after that point for several months, taking that feedback into consideration. So there's still a number of things that we'll have to build, but also we're going to kind of use that feedback that we get from the user testing to apply that back to the build. And then at some point, we will be releasing our first version. We're hoping for that to be maybe sometime around fall 2025, but there are a lot of things going on campus, and that will certainly impact this timeline as well. So we're not giving like a strict timeline on that release yet, but you will definitely be updated as soon as we know more information, if we do have like a firm timeline that we can advertise on that. There are just so many things going on, Workday, transition, the accessibility policy and other stuff in individual groups. So we're just kind of trying to be a little bit flexible to accommodate those needs.
Yeah, this is different from Red Dot where we had a drop dead date. We had to be transitioned out of Red Dot at a certain point. In this case, we don't have, at the moment, I should say, we don't have that drop dead date because of the fact that it's WordPress to WordPress, and it's our servers that we're working with. Um, but that's not to say that we won't put in a time frame of everybody needs to move over, because of the fact that really it's just not feasible for us to support the two themes for an extended period of time. So yeah, so as Jenna mentioned, the transition timeline, and with all the things going on campus around the fall time frame, we will try to be as generous and helpful as possible, with a firm hand of you want to go, 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 go. So that's kind of where we stand there. Jean-Yves, that's part of what Jenna was mentioning with that migration tool. Is that's one of the things that we're trying to build, and one of the things that we're trying to ensure makes it as seamless and painless as possible, to move content from existing theme and advanced custom fields into new theme and blocks. There are some things that are going to require a little bit more of your hand in updating, but for the most part, we're going to try and make this as seamless as possible for you. Yeah.
I think a note there too is as soon as we can preview what that will look like, we will. It's just that that's likely not going to be this calendar year. That's looking like next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because we're still kind of like mid brain surgery, I guess you could say, in terms of the theme. So we need to have things in a state where you can actually like see and understand what that's going to look like, and we can feel confident that the experience will be what you will
Yeah.
experience. But we'll definitely be sharing that information with you as soon as we're able.
Yeah. And like Jenna said, we will be having some folks do some user testing for us as well, because it's all well and good for us to keep poking at these things, but we need your feedback. We need your experience in it, from those of you who are old hands in WordPress to those of you who are scared of clicking buttons. We need all those experiences to make sure that we make this easy for everyone. So yeah, so again, these types of questions, during the informational sessions, these are the types of things that we'll want to hear as well, because we'll be gathering that feedback. Once you all have seen me tinkering with it, we want to hear what your concerns are, what you're looking forward to, those types of things as well, because again, this all helps us in the work that we're doing, preparing and moving forward. There we go. Okay. So topic change. Jenna mentioned the accessibility policy. For those of you who pay attention to the emails, and I know I've sent out quite a bit over the past week, and I both apologize and don't apologize. But thank you to everyone who did take part in the survey that I sent out regarding this. I really do appreciate it. And then for those of you who didn't get a chance to, because I did have to close it Monday, thank you for those of you who have reached out after the fact asking me if it was still okay to provide some feedback, because you will have opportunities to engage again in the future, because this is going to be an ongoing thing for the next year and a half. So you will have more opportunities. So I really do appreciate it. So yeah, we absolutely did. It was wonderful to see some of the thoughts and a lot of the themes that came out of it as well. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Department of Justice, I'm gonna wing this because I'm not the expert on this. I've been listening to Al Nemec talk about this more than anything, so I'm gonna wing it as best as I know. The Department of Justice issued a new ruling in April of this year in regards to digital accessibility of web-based content for all public universities, in that all digital content as it relates to program admission, register or signing up for things, or general information regarding your department's programs, divisions, etc. Anything that is on the web that is digitally accessible, digitally accessed, must meet the accessibility requirements. This is different than what our campus policy was, because we were doing this in sections where we were making, documents accessible, PDFs, Word documents, things of that nature. Now we were looking at web content, and then we were going to look at web applications and things like that. We were going to be doing this in stages. We no longer can do this in stages, because the requirement now is that by April 24th of 2026, all digital content must be made accessible for audiences. Just get back over here. Here's just a rundown of the technology that needs to be accessible. All digital tools and electronic resources provided or made available. Again, this is technical wording, but essentially it's anything on your sites. If you make PDFs available to download via your site, either through WordPress Media Library or through Box or through Google Docs or anything of that nature, those things must be accessible. Your images, which is a long-standing thorn in my side, must have appropriate alt text applied to them, not just picture of field or picture of students. That there are accessibility requirements when it comes to images. Videos that you make available via your site, not just your own videos, but videos that you make available in your site that were created by somebody else, those must be captioned. They have to have an appropriate level of captioning associated with them for them to meet the accessibility requirements. So, as I am learning, or have learned in the past, but now need to pay very close attention to, YouTube, not the best when it comes to automated captioning. Kaltura, way better when it comes to automated captioning. Kaltura gets in the 80% accuracy range. YouTube's like in the 60% range, not good. So it's those types of things that we're going to have to start to pay attention to more as we get to the point of needing this. Sheena, that's a good question. I'll get to that in a second, Sheena, because I have a thought. All digital tools must be accessible. Examples would include our websites, which again is the heart of what we are talking about. But a lot of you also deal with other types of digital content, not just your websites. So that includes videos that you make or make available, your electronic documents like PDFs that you make, the courses. So things like Canvas, things that you put in Canvas. So again, that's something that I need to worry about, because I'm going to need to create a Canvas training course for the new UW theme. I need to make sure that it's completely accessible for everyone. And then a couple of different applications that exist here on campus, Park Mobile, and then the course search and enroll tool as well. So those are some of the things that you all have to be aware of. How does this apply to our websites? All websites must be accessible, whether they are for public consumption or if they are specifically for students, or only even for employees. We have some intranets that are within our service. Those still have to be accessible, because they need to be able to be consumed by anyone of any ability. And then the second bullet there, whether university developed or hosted or university developed and hosted, or developed and hosted by a third party under contract, those have to be made accessible as well. This opens up a very big door that we are trying to figure out how to get through, because as a university, we have a number of contracts with a number of third-party vendors for a lot of our digital tools that we make available here on campus. We have to make sure that they are accessible. We have to make sure that we are leveraging our weight to tell them that you have to meet these needs. It is a law now that it has to be done. So, some other information in here. All items with websites must be accessible if needed to apply for, gain access, etc. The various web forms, like an organizational chart. Like organizational charts are the bane of my accessible existence because they're just not meant to be accessible. It's trees and people and names and things, and so it's that type of stuff that you will have to take a look at. The various infographics that you make available via your websites, the posters that you create and then make images of, and things like that. Those are going to have to be made accessible. You're going to have to make some decisions on those. And then plugins, this more relates to us as the WiscWeb service, although those of you who are not hosted through WiscWeb, you have your sites through Do It Web Hosting or another external source. Keep looking at the wrong camera, sorry. You have to make sure that those plugins are also meeting the accessibility needs for the university for that law. Conventional electronic documents, multimedia and embedded social media posts, those types of things there. Pre-existing documents, I think this relates to Adrian's question. I'll try and expand on that a little bit as well. Pre-existing documents not needed to apply for, gain access to, or participate in the program do not need to be made accessible. There's a time frame of things before the April 24th, 2026 rule that don't need to be made accessible because they are considered archived. Archives, I should say. But I mean, there's an effort and a resource and a time commitment to all of that. My encouragement would be to start to take stock of the content that you make available to your audience, the images, things of that nature, and start to look at how to make them accessible. There will be some guidance as we move forward. There's always the Center for User Experience. There is myself and our team, but I'm not an expert. I know enough, but I'm not an expert on it. So making things like PDFs accessible, not in my wheelhouse, but I can try to help. And then just that last little bullet there of the university has at least, and I think that's a generous number, 500,000 web pages. My guess would be that there are many, many more than that. We don't have a way right now to inventory how many websites exist and how many web pages there are out there. That's one of the things that we'd love to do to get a better idea of how encompassing this is. But so that's where we stand right now. I was fortunate, I am fortunate enough to be on one of the working groups for this campus committee that is presenting recommendations to campus leadership about how we are going to be addressing this and responding to this need. I'm on the websites working group for obvious reasons. And so it's been nice. It's been fun to hear about some of the other areas on campus, like the libraries. This is going to affect quite significantly. The various web developers, or I should say application developers on campus, this is going to affect them as well. The business processes that we undergo for purchasing is also going to be a big deal. So this is pretty all encompassing for our campus, given the nature of our digital footprint right now.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah, go ahead.
can we go back up to Sheena's question
Yeah, I was
about?
gonna. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to note, so Sheena asked, will Gutenberg have AI functionality for alt text assistance by chance? Sheena, I don't know if you were specifically referring to the vendor, like that built Gutenberg, which is automatic, or if you were thinking in the UW theme, but I can kind of just note here, Ketter added a response about Gutenberg itself. So like the vendor automatic does not make AI functionality for alt text available within the tooling currently, and we are not aware if that's on the roadmap. However, as a university, I believe the plan is to, as part of this effort, is to try to understand what users need in order to be able to comply with the policy. And then that information will be assessed, and I think decisions will be made for campus based on that. So, my advice is to uh, submit feedback via those forms that are being sent around, including the one that Matt sent. I think there was another one as well. Matt, I'll pause here in case there's anything you want to note there.
Um, no, not yet.
Okay, you had a face of like almost,
I so
yeah,
so I'm going to show. I was going to show something to sort of to sort of answer Sheena's question.
yeah,
Just from the alternative text aspect of it all.
gotcha.
Um,
Yeah,
um,
I think generally though it's like you know, there are opportunities right now to submit that feedback, and I would encourage you to do so that folks are aware of what you might need. I
yeah,
think that there will be collaboration with our team once decisions are made to see what we might be able to support within WiscWeb. There might be tooling that is supported more centrally within Do It or on campus at some point. What those are, we're not sure, but that effort to understand what is needed is kind of that first step.
yeah. So this actually, Sheena's question actually has come up many times in the conversations of using AI to help generate some of those things. So because I have access to ChatGPT, I actually threw this is a picture of my son and his homecoming date. I threw this picture into ChatGPT, and you can see what my prompt was: create alternative text for this image, and you see what it responded back with. So I think AI is good as a starting point, but you can also see this got very wordy. So I still believe that there would need to be human intervention into using AI tools for some of these things because this would be, I think this is too much for an alt text. So I would go in and I would clean it up and make it a little more pointed. But yeah, so but then there's also the trepidation of I'm using AI to do things for me. And some people will not be comfortable with that. Some people will not be happy with that particular avenue because we're letting machines do the thing. Um, so yeah, there are that's AI is definitely one of the things that has come up in these conversations. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Anyone have video? Let me stop sharing. Anyone have video transcription services? Gosh, we used to have contracts with let's see, captioning. Sorry. I'm looking up. We used to have contracts with a couple here on campus, but I don't know if we still do. Right now, they recommend going to McBurney for assistance to begin with. Yeah, so there was 3Play Media was one, and I don't recall the other one. 3Play, I just remember from the standpoint of we used to use it when I was working with the Do It Video group for doing that type of stuff. I don't know that there's one that I love. I guess I used what we had access to. And then, like I said, Kaltura does pretty good for what it has access to. Let's see. This is new legacy media. I kind of answered that. How would you evaluate the accuracy of Zoom's transcription? I would not be the one to evaluate what the accuracy of Zoom's transition is because that's just not my area of expertise. That'd be something I would reach out to the Center for User Experience on to ask them about what their perspective is on that type of thing. My guess would be that they have either done an accessibility review of Zoom or it would be something that they could potentially, I shouldn't say should, could potentially think about. You could, Johnny, if yes, that you are correct. We've been re-recording items and removing not only for the size. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Multimedia guys, yeah. So, anywho, yeah, that was that part of the conversation that I wanted to touch on. Like I said, it's a part of the committee. The working group is part of the committee that I'm on, but it's going to affect us as WiscWeb quite significantly because of the nature of our service and the number of websites that we have and the number of web pages that exist within those websites. We're at roughly 2,000 websites. So let me give you all 5 pages in each site, and that's really generous. That's a lot. And having having worked with a number of you fine and glorious people, I've seen many an image not have an alt text applied to it. So it is something that we're going to really have to crack down on and make sure that everybody's pulling the same way. Caption sync, 3Play. Yeah, 3Play was the one that I knew of. Caption sync, I don't recall, but what about hero at the top of the page images? In the past, it was not necessary to give alt. I guess I would disagree that it was not necessary. They are decorative. They are considered decorative images, but they also have content. I should say they will have content in them that perhaps a person would appreciate seeing. I have always tried to encourage people that if you put an image on your page, give it alt text, even if it's decorative. Decorative icon, decorative heart icon. There, I've created an alt text for a decorative image. But regardless, I would say that if it's an image on a web page, give it alt text. That would be my baseline. Don't think about it, just do it. And that would just make life easier for me and all of you. How detailed do you get? That's a good question. Yeah, let me go back to that picture of my son. Where'd you go? Picture of my son. I guess I would say I guess I would describe them, what they're wearing potentially in it, and then anything else in the background that is relevant. If nothing else in the background is relevant, I don't know that I would need to describe it. But, white male, clean shaven head with a goatee, wearing a burnt orange sweatshirt. That's how I would describe me in a faculty staff photo of this particular visage. That's as detailed as I think I would need to get.
I don't know if we
Yeah,
should be advising here, as we are
yeah,
not experts in this area. Sorry, I'm just gonna
that's
make
probably not a
that.
question that I can
Yes.
answer
So
because
I mean,
I don't know.
we can offer some guidance just from what we know in the WiscWeb space, but I really think that some of those questions are better asked at some of the accessibility I guess like groups that exist. There's a community of practice. There's also the folks that are involved with the accessibility policy, like the Center for User Experience. And so I would recommend those formats for that question. Just we don't want to, we're more, our expertise is more in general website, not necessarily accessibility. So happy to guide you towards those resources though, if you need help with any of that.
Yeah, let's see. Andrea posted some good information on alt text writing. Ketter also threw in a couple of things as well. Yeah, the decision tree is a good thing to go. Again, there is the decision tree. I would always, like I said, when in doubt, I would always just add alt text, and it's there now, and I don't have to worry about it. But there is the decision tree as to whether or not you need to put it into there. I just don't want to encourage people to underthink it. And I
Yeah,
don't want people to
it's a
overthink it.
tough one. I will
Just
say the
think,
decision tree helped me personally just kind of understand the scenarios, and also that information from W3 on decorative images in
yeah,
general. That is not to say that should be used as like, oh, maybe I'll just consider this decorative. That's, I think, what Matt is getting at is like, this is not an opportunity for you to look at things and say, oh, I'm just gonna say it's
I'm just
decorative.
gonna, I'm just gonna make it
It's
decorative.
more like let's build our shared knowledge and understanding
Yep.
of
Yeah,
kind of accessibility and dig in a little bit further individually.
Karina, I don't know. So the way that Kaltura works is Kaltura is for each individual on campus. There are no service or group accounts for Kaltura. It is your account. So that's one of the drawbacks of Kaltura is that when you upload something, it's yours. And if you're gone, it's gone with you unless you have made somebody else a co-owner of it. Um, I guess I don't know if there's a storage limit. That's something that you would have to either look at the knowledge base for or reach out to the Learn at UW. I think the Learn at UW team is the team that supports the Kaltura instance here on campus. So I don't have a good answer for that other than to say that it is individual, not group or departmental or anything like that. And I don't know. Sorry, that was a direct message to me. I answered it for everybody though, so my apologies. I'm not paying that close attention to that. So yeah, so obviously, as you all can see, this is a big deal, and it's going to be a big deal as we move forward throughout the year. So as Jenna said, we've got a lot of things on our plate over the next year in relation to camp changes on campus, Workday, us moving to the new the block editor theme, the accessibility policy. Who knows what other things are hiding in the shadows of decision makers. So yeah, so there's a lot of things that we'll be talking about. We'll keep you all as informed as we can. You all know that you can reach out to me at any point that you have questions, and I'll try my best to answer them. You can reach out to the team through the helpitdoit.wisc.edu email address as well, and that'll create a ticket for us. But again, a lot of these things I want to present to you, the Gutenberg thing, and then this as well. I want to present these things to you so that we can get going, so that we don't think about it, 5 minutes before it's due. Don't be the college kid. So I want everyone to sort of start thinking about these things, stress out about it now, although don't stress out about it, but stress out about it now so that you can get that out of the way. So then you can just get going and get working on stuff. No discussion on that yet, Adrienne, and I don't know how any of that will play out. That is certainly a question to ask. I don't know. I don't know.
I think if we did hear anything, there would definitely be communication to campus about that.
Yeah.
But maybe from directly from those groups who are kind of working on the policy.
That'll be a Office of Compliance question / concern. I just react.
I would say generally where we think that it might impact our users, we do try to communicate when it feels appropriate for our team to be doing that.
Yeah.
If it's something that it should be someone else, then we kind of like coordinate with those groups.
Adrian, yes, absolutely. That's like we would. I encourage people to think about alt text anyway, and it's like the hammer or the drum that I beat constantly when I meet with folks. We're still going to look for ways to encourage that because it's the right thing to do anyway. But yes, policies could change, rules could get rolled back, things of that nature. We'll let you know as soon as we know it. We will obviously communicate those things to you as soon as we know anything. I do want to point out Hannah's suggestion in the chat as well, asking people to write their own alt text when you're doing your faculty staff about us type pages or just in general when their images appear. That's a great way to encourage that sort of engagement and ownership of that content as well. So, any other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, critiques?
Hi, Matt. I thought it would be easier to just ask it verbally.
Absolutely.
Is that, let's say I have an image I didn't think at the time, did an alt text. If I go in my media area and I add the alt text there, then that will update. No?
No, that's a good question. That's an excellent question, Johnny, because I actually answer this quite a bit as well. When you go to the media library and update it there, it updates it for the next time that you use it. But that particular media item, that particular image is already coded into the page that you have created. So it can't re-pull that information from the media library. So you'd have to go to the individual page that it exists on and also update it there. But it would make it so that the next time that you use it, it would have that alt text. It just can't work. It doesn't work backwards.
Okay.
It only works forward.
In some other words, the pages are not created dynamically every time. They are created when we make them, and then that's what is served. Okay.
The content itself is not created dynamically. There are things, there are stylistic things and programmatic things that are created dynamically, but the content itself is not. It is static.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Already managed to go back and fix all of our missing alt text from the past. Rich, please tell that friend, yes. Yes, that is what I would ask you to do. Again, there's the caveat to all this about like pre-existing content and whether or not it relates to, you know, the application or the program or anything. That there's such a gray area when it comes to what an archived thing is, that I would just encourage people to the best of their efforts, go back in time and update as best you can.
One thing to note too is that some images on your website might get alt text if you add them through the media editor. It's a kind of harder to explain thing, but like certain blocks or certain page elements, like the image element or the featured content element, if you're selecting an image through those would potentially get alt text that you add in through the media library. If you're adding images to a text block, that puts in an image element as is at the time that you put the image in and saves it as that. So there are some cases where it might retroactively put it in, but it's probably better to err on the side of it doesn't and double check.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. That you are right, because those the page elements are somewhat dynamic. So yes, they are pulling that content again when they are republished. So Paige, to your question, no, you would have to go in, edit the text, edit your image, click on the image, edit the image, go into the alt text field, add the alt text, and then update the page. It won't, in a text block, I'll clarify that. In a text block, it won't do that for sure, which is where the vast majority of images are living. And again, we don't have all the answers right now. More of this conversation. So right now, we are in the various working groups. We are making our recommendations to the committee, the overall committee, and then that overall committee will then make their recommendations based on the feedback that we and the working groups have provided. They will make their overall recommendations up to campus leadership to then generate the response that we will have on campus. So there's a lot that still needs to be done, yet it's going to happen. I feel like it's going to happen pretty fast because of the timeline of this necessity. We thought we had more time. Turns out we don't have more time. So ta-da, we all have a lot of work to do. So
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate something that Matt already noted, but just to confirm, regardless of the direction that this ends up going in the future, we will absolutely be aligning with accessibility as a service. So we will continue to support, those who have accessibility related needs. We'll continue to offer guidance. We'll continue to incorporate accessibility as part of our process.
just to speak to Logan's question, is there a good way? There's a good way to do it page by page, and that's by using the wave tool, having the wave tool running and go to each page within your site. That's not a very efficient way to do it because it's page by page. This is one of the things that the campus is investigating, is what types of tools could potentially be invested in to assist with creating audits and reports of websites, of digital content, etc. So right now, that's not something that can be efficiently done other than just the time and labor it will take to go through each page. But hopefully in the future, hopefully we will have something that could potentially meet that need. But right now, there's no good answer for that. We don't have a good tool, a good option for that.
Yeah, and what tool gets chosen might be something that we add within WiscWeb. That might be the recommendation, or it might be a tool that's just available on campus. Maybe there's a service around it, and it would apply to other things like the knowledge base or anywhere else that you might be adding your image content, or maybe needing to check digital content for accessibility. So the big thing is share what you think might be needed for that tooling and those opportunities to do that now with this accessibility policy.
For the future, we will have firm guidance that states the legacy that falls outside of the new law. Yes, I hope.
I was gonna say I don't know the answer to that one. Yeah.
But this is so again, all of your so everybody's concern, everybody's trepidation, all of that nervousness. This is all stuff that came through in the survey. This is all stuff that has come through in the conversations that I had. I actually did some user research interviews with a few of you. So again, thank you for everybody who's participated in this process already. But I had those conversations with folks that I did user research interviews with, and we as the working group, we've talked about this stuff, that there needs to be firm policy in place. There needs to be someone who can provide guidance that is not just a layman like myself. There needs to be ways for people to check their content to make sure that it is accessible, because you can't expect a person to be an accessibility expert on top of all the other things that you're supposed to be an expert in. And so you need to have those types of resources available to you so that you all can make informed decisions in relation to the content that you are providing to your audience. So these are all the things that everybody's asked in this list or in the chat. It's been brought up. It's a part of my notes that I have provided to the working group. So thank you all for confirming and reaffirming all of those notes. But yeah, it's everything that everybody's feeling. We are trying our hardest to convey that to leadership, to make sure that they are aware of how daunting a task this is for a number of them. So I got you back. Right camera. Okay. All right. So let's end it there. I will stop the recording now.